Well, good morning. Welcome to Agape, the home of love, the awareness and acceptance of our wholeness. At Agape, we teach a positive, practical spirituality. We don't get into all of the theory and all of that. That's not what we're about. We want to talk about practical tools that allow us to live the most fulfilling life. And the first thing we do is you got to understand love. Everything begins and ends with self-love. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else, and you cannot love life. So when we start to learn to accept ourselves as we are, realizing our whole and perfect nature, we can then look at others, accept them as they are, their whole perfect nature, and then we can look at life and accept life as it is. And when we do that, we can live with whatever's in front of us, because that's the spiritual journey. Spirituality means living with the moment that is right in front of you. Not bringing in the past in, not worrying about the future, but living in that present moment. So let's take a few moments and let's do a quick tap into the inner wisdom, a little guided visualization, guided meditation. So if you would, bring yourself to a comfortable seated upright position. Your back is straight. Your hands gently resting on your lap and your eyes closed. All awareness on your breath. Long, slow, deep inhale. Long, slower, deep exhale. Again, long, slow, deep inhale. Long, slower, deep exhale. And one more. Long, slow, deep inhale. Long, slower, deep exhale. Now just breathe normally. And with every breath, allow your body to relax. Allow the thoughts to come in and go out. Don't be attached to them. Don't analyze them. Just let them come in and out. Just like the ocean coming into the shore comes in and it goes out. Let the thoughts come in and let them go out. Don't let the thoughts come in, deposit them, leave them. No, take them back out. As you practice this rhythmic breathing, you free yourself from attachment. You free yourself from judgment. Because if you're not holding on to the thoughts, there's nothing to judge. You're simply in with the flow of life. And in the flow of life, things come and things go. We begin to understand that life is about change. And change is constant. It never stops. Therefore, nothing ever remains the same. So we no longer worry about going back to the past. The past doesn't exist. We no longer worry about the future. The future doesn't exist. The only thing that is real is now. And we're fully present with it by just focusing on our breath. Continue to let yourself go into deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper relaxation. Notice how you've changed the entire energetic of your body and your mind by just these few moments of breathing, of visualizing. Realize you can come back here anytime you want by simply taking in a long, slow, deep breath. And then on your exhale, a long, slower exhale. And do 3 of them. Wherever you are, you can do it. And you become the master of your body, the master of your mind. So gently now, start to bring yourself back to this time, to this place, to this day. Begin to move your hands, your fingers, stretch, however it is for you. And when you're ready, open your eyes and welcome this beautiful day. Today, I want to talk to you about something that you're perfect at, and it's the art of self-deception. That's right, you're a master deceiver. You're deceiving yourself so much you don't even know you're deceiving yourself. So I thought it would be a good topic for us to explore so that we become more aware, that we become conscious, that we reclaim our power. Self-deception is the act of lying to oneself or rationalizing oneself of things that are simply not true. There are people out there that rationalize and deceive themselves on a lot of things. One of the biggest ways that we rationalize is what? I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not dependent on drugs. Well, wait a second. Are you drinking every day? Well, I have 1 or 2 glasses of wine every day. Really? And red wine's good for you. Is it really good for you? Who came up with that? Oh, a study done by the wine industry. That makes it, definitely it's healthy then. Oh, I can just do a little of this. I'll just have this 1 cigarette. I just smoke when I drink and stuff like that. And it's not bad. Do you realize that I remember I started smoking when I got engaged. I was 20 years old. And I smoked until I was 33. And I was not a mild smoker. I smoked 2 packs a day. But I was deceiving myself saying, well, I'm jogging, I'm exercising, so it's not bad for me. Was I self-deceiving? You bet I was. When I did quit smoking, guess what? I realized how unhealthy it was. When I quit drinking, I realized how unhealthy it was. I was a master at deceiving myself. We all are, and we all do it in different ways. Let's talk about a few examples of self-deception. First one, overestimating our abilities. Simple example of that is, I think I'm a very handy person. And I had this big sprinkler head that went out. And you know what? I said, I can fix that. I was into it an hour and a half and it wasn't working. I got dirt into the pipeline. The head, a brand new head was plugged up. I stopped. I called my sprinkler guy, said, I'll be out tomorrow. He came out and he was done in 4 minutes. I came to understand that his ability is because he's done this thousands of times. I've done it 1 or 2 times. Don't overestimate your ability to do things. Now, if it's something you want to become good at, keep practicing over and over and over again. It's like just because you're learning hypnotism and you've done 12 or 13 sessions, you're not a master hypnotherapist. It only comes when you've done hundreds upon hundreds of these that your abilities become that, and then you're still growing. Another example of self-deception is rationalizing your failures. You ever done that? Yeah, we can justify, well, why did that company let me go? Well, the reason they let me go was I wasn't fully invested in doing that job. I really didn't care. Oh, it was because of the economy. No, it wasn't because of the economy. My heart and soul was not in that job. Did you get that? Rationalization allows our ego to feel at ease. Have you ever rationalized a poor financial decision? God, I did. Man, there was a period where every year I would get a brand new car. And if you know math, that's not a good financial decision. You lose money every time you buy a car, the second you drive it out the showroom. Another poor financial decision, the stock market went down. 1987, I want to say, I pulled out. Went back in later. Another time it went down, pulled out. Figured it out. I'd be worth 20 times what I'm worth right now had I not made those poor decisions. 20 times. I rationalized it at the time instead of following what all the experts would do. Another example of self-deception is false optimism. We do this, we lie to ourselves, and we become optimistic about things. I was optimistic that I fell, I hurt my hip, and I was optimistic it was just going to heal. The pain didn't go away, pain didn't go away, pain didn't go away. Finally, 2 weeks later, I went to my chiropractor, who's also a nurse practitioner, took an x-ray. I shattered it. I had to have a hip replacement. Man, you want to talk about false optimism. Get it checked out. Deal with reality. Don't deal with not reality. Don't make reality something that's not. Here's false optimism. I can change my partner. No, you can't. The only person you can change is yourself. But we're optimistic. Oh, they'll change. Well, what makes you think they'll change? I see that in counseling on relationships over and over and over again. Another example of self-deception is assume other people like you. Why would you make that assumption? Most of the time you're in people's lives because there's something that they're going to get from you. Understand that. People come and go at my spiritual center. It's just the nature of spiritual centers. But a lot of people have come because they wanted something. They wanted to market to the community and things that they wanted. And so they treated you a certain way. They didn't really like you. See, I'm not in this world to be liked. Because you know what? I can't control who likes me. So why would I put any effort into it? What I put effort into is liking myself and being my most authentic self and living from that place. And in doing so, I sleep well at night. I'm never worried about someone else, whether they like me or not, because you're never going to be able to please anyone else. Another way of self-deceiving is selective memory. Go back to a past relationship that you had that was horrific. 20 years later, you're looking back at it and you're seeing, oh my God, that was perfect, because you're only remembering the good things. You're not remembering the ones that led you to break up. We have a very selective memory. Another one is downplaying risks. There's a lot of risks involved in things. Don't minimize them. Be real about them. I know, for example, that at my age, I can't do everything I did at 25. I'm very active. I'm very healthy in that. I don't downplay the risk that I'm not going to get and do. I'm not going to climb Mount Everest at my age based on where I'm at. I don't even bother with that. It's not something I need to do. In other words, confirmation bias. You know, if you're looking at something, you find all the data that supports it. If you believe that COVID is bad, you're going to find all the data that supports that COVID means you got to do all these things. If you're one of those people that believe it's just a natural process, you're going to find all the data that supports what you believe on it. We all do that. But we've got to be real with ourselves and understand that. One that I talked about briefly before is we deceive ourselves into believing we're not addicted. We all have addictions of some form, fashion, or other. Could be food, could be drugs, could be soda, could be sugar, could be flour, could be alcohol, could be narcotics, could be porn, could be sex. It could be anything. Could be going to the gym. Question is, addictions are habits that we form in order to not be fully present in life. We only want things one way or another. Are you addicted to having everything be good? Because if you are, you're going to be greatly disappointed, because you're going to always be challenged with more things. And the last one we'll talk about today is self-deception. Believing you and your life is more than it is. You're on a planet. You're a speck on a planet. That's a speck in the galaxy. The galaxy is a speck in the universe. And you believe you're more than you think you are. Listen to people talk. They believe they are the whole world. In some ways you are. You are your whole world. Your whole universe stems on how you frame it, how you look at it. But you're not the whole world to anyone else. If you think you are, you're going to be greatly disappointed. This happens a lot with people when they get power. They really think they're more than they are. And then when they lose that position, the reality comes back to them. They weren't that important in the first place. I'll tell you something. I left the corporate world in 2004. The corporate world didn't miss me. The second I was gone, they found someone else to replace me. And it just maybe took a little time for them to get good at it. Don't fool yourself that you're necessary. You're only necessary in your own life. So, why do we deceive ourselves? Well, to protect our emotions. We're so fragile emotionally that we do all of these addictive behaviors, all of these ways that we go into self-deception. Because why? We want to protect ourselves. We want to feel good. And so we do the emotional protection. Another reason is we want to maintain our self-esteem. We want to feel good about ourselves. We want to think about ourselves. So we hide behind these behaviors. Social and cultural pressures. Yeah, the need to be liked, the need to be a part of a group. We're willing to deceive ourselves just so that we can do that. Here's what I've learned. As I reflect back, I've always known I was unique. I was never part of a group. And whenever I tried to fit in, guess what? It just didn't work. I had to downplay who I was. Anytime you're downplaying who you are, you're not being your authentic self. You're going to be miserable. We deceive ourselves. Why? To avoid responsibility. Oh, I'm okay. I don't have to work on that addiction. No, you're not. You're responsible that you have that addiction. You're responsible how that addiction is affecting your family and your friends. Take on the responsibility. Deal with it. Deal with what's in front of you. You can't go back and change the past, but you can deal what's right in front of you. One of the other reasons, it's a big one. Why do we deceive ourselves? Because we fear change. We don't like change. We hate the unknown. But I'm going to tell you, the unknown is always there, and we're always going to be moving into it because change is constant. It never stops. It's always changing. Think about what's happening however long you've lived. I look at how my life, oh my God, we had a cell phone that you had to turn the rotary dial. Not a cell phone, a home phone. Now, if I wanted to date my wife, I had to get through her parents' home phone, and they had to let me talk to her. Now everyone's got a phone. Instantaneous communication. A lot of change. It's going to keep changing more and more. We also deceive ourselves to preserve relationships. We lie about who we are so that we can fit in with someone else. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not a healthy relationship. That's a relationship based on dependency. And that's not worth the time in any way, shape, or form. We also deceive ourselves so that we can maintain a sense of self-control. And I'm going to tell you, control is something that is one of the greatest downfalls to everything. Governments think they can control the masses. They can't. Corporations think they can control their employees. They can't. A partner thinks they can control their partner. They can't. You want to control your pet? You can't. The only thing you control, if you work at it, is the tendency of how you think. You're still going to have crazy thoughts. You're not going to ever eliminate them. You're not going to stop your thought process. It is going to continue. So you got to give up that idea that you control things. And then you've got cognitive dissonance. It's self-explanatory. It's just there. So what are the consequences that we face with self-deception? Well, number one, stagnated personal growth. You're not stepping into the new. You're not accepting personal responsibility. Therefore, you're not growing. The other consequences, eventually you're going to damage your relationship. You'll be lying. You'll be putting out a false image. And once it's discovered, you realize that the relationship was never built on solid ground. Ergo, it wasn't really a relationship of any significance whatsoever. Another consequence is increased stress and anxiety. You're worrying about, am I ever going to be discovered? Am I fooling myself? Are people going to find out? And you're stressed about finding out, and then worrying about how that's going to affect me in the future. That's anxiety. Another consequence is what? Loss of credibility. I was taught as a young man by my dad, the only thing that really matters is your word. If your word is not good, you have no credibility with anyone. So I know that when I give my word, I must live it. I must be it in all aspects. And if I can't be it, I talk to that person immediately and say, something has come up. I need to talk to you about it because I gave you my word on something. Another consequence is emotional numbness. Yeah, if you're doing all of those things we talked about, you have to numb yourself. Because if you're not numbing yourself, man, it's going to be so painful to live in your mind, so painful to live in your emotions. So we numb ourselves emotionally. And if you look around, aren't most people numb? They're addicted to what? Their phones. They're numbing themselves with social media. Another problem or consequence is we delay problem solving. If you don't deal with what is, it gets worse. My neighbor had a problem on the side of his home where water was draining improperly. He let it go. Well, it continued to erode, erode, erode. And now his whole backyard has eroded. Instead of fixing something with a couple $100, he's probably now into $20,000, $30,000. Should have solved the problem immediately. The other thing is, in today's world, there could be legal consequences. Yeah. A divorce, that's a major legal consequence that's going to cost you half of everything you got. It's going to take its toll on you. And so many other, in business, take its toll on you. Another consequence, and probably one of the greatest ones, is you become isolated. And one of the greatest fears we've got is the fear of being alone. Well, if you're self-deceiving, you're going to isolate because you're not allowing yourself to be your real self. And then you've got the risk of harmful behaviors. That's when people start talking about suicide. People start talking about all sorts of crazy things. So is it worth deceiving yourself? Or is it better to just deal with it? So how do we overcome self-deception? First off, we got to start with self-reflection. We've got to look at our lives and uncover, where are we deceiving ourselves? Why are we deceiving ourselves? What are the consequences of how we're deceiving ourselves? So self-reflection, it really means honest self-reflection. Really, truly looking at yourself and not rationalizing it, not justifying it, not saying everyone else is doing it, none of that stuff. So it's understanding, where am I deceiving? Secondly, seek external perspectives. Get a best friend, someone you know, a best friend, someone who's going to be honest with you. Find people in your life and ask them, am I deceiving myself? Do you really think? Where do you think I'm deceiving myself? How is that showing up in our relationship? If they're a true friend, they'll tell you. Hey, make me your true friend. I'll be happy to tell you. Because if you're a friend of mine, know that I will not let you deceive yourself. I will call you on it because that's what a friend does. Another thing is, embrace your vulnerabilities. Know that you have strengths and know that you have weaknesses. That's okay. Enhance your strengths because that's what turns you on. That's what you're good at. Know that you have vulnerabilities. And when you know that, don't try to know you've got them and find ways to work around them. Hire people. I'm not good at putting in sprinkler heads. Hire someone. I'm not good at plumbing. Hire someone. I've got vulnerabilities there. Another one is mindfulness and meditation. Take time to be still. Stop your ego from running your life. Start living in the moment. Mindfulness means being fully present in this moment. If you're fully present in this moment, you're not going to bring the past in. If you're not bringing the past in, there's no need to self-deceive. Accept what is happening to you without justifying it. About 4 years ago, I made a stupid move as I was working too fast in my garage, slipped, shattered my hip. I had to accept I shattered my hip. With that, I had to have an artificial hip put in. I don't need to justify it. I did it. I wasn't being aware. I accepted. I shattered my hip. I moved on with it. It makes life so much easier. Another way to overcome self-deception this is a big one, set realistic expectations for yourself. and realize you may have a big expectation, chunk it down into a manageable step. Do a little bit every day. That's the secret to life. One little improvement on top of another little improvement on top of another little improvement. And over the course of your life, you will not believe that you will become a master in so many ways of the areas that truly mean things for you. Self-deception is a common but harmful practice that everybody does to some extent or another. When we begin to understand why we do it, how it's affecting us, and how we can begin to live a more authentic and fulfilling life, we become the masters. I really want you, I invite you to take time and reflect on what experiences come to your mind as to how you've deceived yourself and what you can do to begin to change it now. Remember, at Agape, we think, we talk, and we teach one thing. Everything begins and ends with you. Stop deceiving yourself. It serves you no value. Discover and become your authentic self, and you will live a life that is beyond anything you can imagine right now. Well, I want to thank you for taking your time and listening. And I want to invite you. This is a message that should go around the world. Share this message. If you're on YouTube, share the link on your social media platforms. If you're on Facebook, share it to your friends. If you're on whatever platform, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, share the message. That is the greatest gift you can give to me. Because the more we help each other become more aware, the more we can change the lives of people on this planet. And that's the greatest gift we can do. Also, if you'd like to plug in with Agape, go to agapespiritualcenter.com. There are many, many ways that you can plug in online, some in person. Also, we'd love to have you make a donation. With your donation, it will help us bring this message to greater and greater and greater numbers of people. Agape as a spiritual center is not about building a great building. It's not about having great things. It's not about spending a lot of money. It's simply bringing our simple message of a practical spirituality to greater and greater and greater numbers of people. Remember, what you receive, give back. What you give, you'll receive more of. Practice the law of giving and receiving. With that, my friends, I'm honored that you stood all this time to listen. I wish you well as you live a life that is without any deception whatsoever. Your true life, the one you were meant